Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. With the 2025 election heating up and tariffs still dominating the headlines, it's easy to lose sight of what the major parties of Canada actually stand for outside of a crisis. Especially with a short election window, people are voting on who will manage Donald Trump the best. But what about the bigger picture? That is, what is each party likely to do outside of the current economic pressure the country is facing? So in this video and in this series, I'm going to be breaking down what each party believes. What are their core values, their history, their track record, as well as their common criticisms. And I'll be breaking this down generally so that you know what you're signing up for generally when you vote for each party. And again, just as a disclaimer, this breakdown will not take into account current or recent party leaders that may have led their party astray from their typical or core values. What I'm trying to say here is that each party and each party leader has some degree of volatility. But again, I'm speaking in general terms and trying to observe the overall or larger patterns or trends that are going on here. So in this video, we'll be looking at the Liberal Party of Canada. So to briefly summarize the Liberal Party, they are a centrist force combining economic liberalism with social progressivism. They tend to champion free markets, national unity, and are a large advocate for social programs like universal healthcare. They're typically a middle ground player, and they've been dominant in federal government from Canada's early days. Going into their history a little bit, they were founded in 1867 and first came to power in 1873 under Canada's first Liberal Prime Minister, Alexander Mackenzie. Then they hit their stride in 1896 when Wilfrid Laurier took over, forging compromises between the English and the French and creating a national unity. Then other notable leaders like William Lyon Mackenzie King, Louis Saint Laurent, Lester B. Pearson, and Pierre Trudeau expanded on Canada's welfare state. They mixed economic nationalism with social progressivism. Then in the 1990s, Jean Chrétien flipped the script. He started to combine social liberalism with fiscal conservatism, erasing deficits while still pushing for progressive causes. Some of the notable or signature policies of the Liberal Party over the years include universal healthcare, the Canada Pension Plan, the patriation of the Constitution and Charter of Rights and Freedoms, legalizing marijuana in 2018, expanding access to abortion, and of course the $10 a day childcare plan. Looking at the core beliefs of the party, they generally aim to balance fiscal responsibility with progressive social policies. They enjoy free markets, but they're definitely not afraid to step in with government intervention when it comes to things like healthcare, climate, or diversity. You can think of them as a big tent, combining ideas from the right and from the left in an attempt to appeal to everybody. And looking at the 2021 platform, you start to see these beliefs in action. They mandated COVID-19 vaccines for inter-provincial travelers on trains, planes, and ships. This is classic government intervention in the pursuit of public safety. They also invested $6 billion in addition to the $4 billion already set aside to reduce wait times in health systems. They set aside $2 billion over a 5-year period to address truth, justice, and healing initiatives tackling the residential schools issue. They doubled down on climate with a net zero by 2050 commitment. And they pledged $1 billion toward gun measures, including the 2022 handgun freeze. Now, I want to take a minute to explain some of the criticism they often receive, taking into account the fact that some criticism is deserved and sometimes criticism is fabricated or hyperbolized. But looking at the criticism that is generally agreed upon, we can first look at the huge debt spike under the Justin Trudeau years. It went up to the hundreds of billions of dollars from 2015 to 2023. And of course, very notoriously the $62 billion deficit from the 2023 to 2024 years. The party is often criticized for prioritizing flashy programs over sustainable growth, leaving Canada in a financially vulnerable situation when a crisis occurs, like, for example, the 2025 tariff wars. They've also been criticized of general elitism. Carbon taxes and vaccine mandates are perceived by their critics to be out of touch to the working class people. And of course, the Liberal Party is criticized for their broken promises. Justin Trudeau pledged to run small deficits, $10 billion, no more, in order to fund infrastructure. Unfortunately, those ballooned into the hundreds of billions of dollars. So to summarize, voting Liberal is essentially betting on a middle ground party that tends to lean into government action for social good. They have an overall track record of impressive wins, but again, the main critique is that they lose the plot, or they go off the rails and leave fiscal responsibility or fiscal conservatism on the back burner. Well, to everyone who is already very familiar with the Liberal Party of Canada, either good or bad, I want to encourage you to drop your thoughts in the comments. I want this video and the comment section along with it to be a great resource for people who are trying to learn. And if you're more interested in learning about detailed topics and recent events in relation to Canadian politics, feel free to check out my channel. I have a lot of videos covering recent events in Canadian politics, and I guarantee you'll find something that piques your interest. Well, I hope this video was helpful and informative for you. Thank you so much for watching. Have an outstanding day and take care.